Beginning with your theme, your big idea, or concept is a really good place to start. If you already use a curriculum, many have themes outlined with key vocabulary, some pre planned stories and songs, and accompanying learning activities. So a lot of the planning work is in place and ready to build from. When planning for poll, you aren't planning strategies separately or as add ons. You're integrating poll strategies into your existing plans. So, poll enhances oral language opportunities and helps you become much more targeted in your support. Planning for poll is really about intentionality and purpose. It's about thoughtful planning and it's about reflective practice. Using planning tools can really help support your work in all three areas. So when you're planning for poll, always start with the theme, the big idea, or the concept. Begin to pull resources. These are your anchor texts or your experiences that you are wanting to provide for children. So it could be the use of materials and photos and realia. Think about your key vocabulary. Think about the poll strategies and how will they integrate into your daily schedule. So, planning tools. Oftentimes, it's wonderful to be able to take some notes and record the specific vocabulary that you're selecting. So, here you'll notice a chart. This could be a fillable form, it could be something that you're just keeping records of in a notebook, but it's some way of being able to record the text that you've selected, the concepts about the text. What are the big ideas? In this case, it's Moo Moo Brown Cow. So, some key concepts are the book is about animals, mothers and babies in particular. There are counting concepts in this book. There are lots of descriptive adjectives and comparison words. So, when you're selecting your vocabulary, you want to be mindful of the different types of vocabulary and categories you might be introducing throughout the unit. So, if you're doing a unit and the big idea is around animals or animals and their babies or animals in their homes, you would start by looking for animal words. So, you can see here that the vocabulary list we've categorized in English and we've done the home language of Spanish. We've built in a column whether or not that's been introduced and what notes you have to take around it. So the notes column is really for you to take note of perhaps when a word was introduced, how long you spent time in it, what was an observation you had. Maybe it's something that the children were very interested in that could develop into a different area of interest, or maybe there's some materials you want to gather because there was interest around specific vocabulary. The notes column could also be for staff members. So if you do not speak the language of the children, you may have staff members who are working with the children that speak that language. You'd want some notes so that you can see what days, what times your staff have been introducing the words so that you're staying in sync with each other and that you're aligned in your planning and your preparation. So, vocabulary selection is key. The tools to help you plan really help you keep very organized and prepared. While most of you have planning books or sheets that you keep, the poll planning grid can accompany your lessons. So, this planning sheet is an example of how you might organize your poll planning for the week. You'll see it's a grid style, again, modifiable, but one idea on how to ensure that each day you're preparing and thinking through your strategy work, given the big idea and concept that you're teaching and the anchor text or anchor experience that you're planning for and the vocabulary you've selected. So you can see here that we've got it by weeks, Monday through Friday. You may have a different book each week that you are introducing to the children, or you may select one book for the entire week that captures lots of vocabulary and where you can input the different strategies like your intentional message, your songs and chants, and visual cues. You may have a space where you want to talk about enrichment activities and what you're doing at centers, what kinds of materials you have available for children to be able to practice and use their language through a variety of activities. This is an example of a pre-populated planning sheet. So it's filled in, and really it's a guide. So I just want to point out some key features. The anchor book is typically the same for the week. Don't be concerned with focusing on one book. Children will not get bored. You are rereading it, you're selecting maybe one or two pages to focus on, or you're reading it for a different purpose each time. The more children read the book with you, the more familiar and predictable it is, and the more children will repeat words and phrases and really make meaning. Select key vocabulary from your vocabulary list. Choose a few words to focus on each day and use them in your strategy work. In the strategy section, this should be designed so your children hear language frequently, repetitively, and have opportunities to practice and practice it often. So you'll do it through songs and chants. You may have them recorded, put on posters, so you're preparing your materials as you're planning. In the enrichment activities, these are ways to explore other resources to extend learning. And in your center's extensions, these are ideas. You may have other centers or interest areas in your learning environment. These really are areas that should be places where children can explore theme-related items, where they can talk and practice their new learning, and where you can listen in, you can observe and interact by asking questions or offering feedback so that you can have back and forth exchanges using key vocabulary with children. Center time's a wonderful way for children to practice what they know and what they're learning by actively engaging with materials, with each other, and with you. Now let's get ready for an activity.